Alright, Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Okay, Hebrews, you know what I'm saying? We need to get this out the way because the people who control the Western civilization, man, been real slick man, and been imprisoning people just by a title. A title, man. If you fall up under this title, man, you can go to jail, you can lose your life, and it's just messed up. And it's gonna take the real Hebrew Israelites to clean it up. You know, it's like lies been told about the Israelite heritage and people associated with it for 2,600 years, since the real Israelites broke the covenant and ran into Africa by way of Egypt to do the Egyptian religion. I got countless videos going over this, countless videos. But can a Hebrew Israelite be an anti-Semitic or anti-Semitism? Can a Hebrew Israelite be anti-Semitic? You know, can a Hebrew Israelite, did no heritage fall up under those Babylonian titles that was created to imprison the world? Can a Hebrew Israelite fall up under them titles? We're gonna see. You know, we're gonna check it out. And I'm here to tell you that off the flop, you know, I already got a video explaining how Semites are not from Shem, a Shemite. You know, our father Shem didn't give birth to the Arabian families. You know what I'm saying? He didn't give birth to the Ishmaelites that mixed with the Hamites. You know, our father Shem didn't give birth to the Phoenicians, who are Canaanites, that is up other than Hamitic strain and tribes. You know, our father Shem didn't give birth to the Jews, who are not Israelites. And I'm gonna explain this, and this why come an Israelite can't be anti-Semitic. You know what I'm saying? Or anti-Semitism, if they trying to tie those terms into the Israelite heritage, in which they have. And you can look at the history of the Jews from the virtual Jewish library, and this is accepted by all Jews, of how they tried to tie the word anti-Semitism into Israelite heritage. Now, I'm here to tell you that I got countless videos explaining how we Israelites abandoned our heritage to the Babylonian scribes during the Babylonian wars, and how that these peoples was placed in our land in 722 BC, and then how that they was already Amorites. You know, the Sephardims, you know, that come from Sippar were Amorites already, and then them being Amorites already, and then being placed in Samaria, or what they call Palestine, the promised land. Then they was like being, you know, being placed in another part of their territory, because the Canaanite territory extended from the Nile all the way to the Euphrates, you know, and that's outlined in Torah history of how the Creator wanted the Israelites to destroy the Canaanite culture from, you know what I'm saying, from the Nile all the way to the Euphrates. And this is where those peoples were a part of the Canaanite culture that was on the Euphrates, but they was placed in Samaria during the Assyrian times, and I'm gonna explain that. You know, that's why come we Israelites got to be up on our history, just in case they ever try to put the anti-Semitism title on us, and how we can show them that they are not Israelites. So therefore, that title is not effective towards us, and that they can't use that on us Israelites. Now them ignorant people that don't know what's going, they can become victim to the Canaanite Amorite administrative culture. You know how the Canaanite Amorites can take one word and make it powerful, and then imprison you and change your life, you know what I'm saying, around by that one word, and how they been having power like that man, for thousands of years. That's like I explained in plenty of videos how we Israelites, by the time we got our heritage dealing with the Canaanites, who had a heritage, man, that it existed, man, for a couple of thousands of years before we was, Israelites, before we even got a covenant to destroy them coming out of Egypt, how they was already a made people, and then how that they wickedness extended very far, and we know in Tanakh history how it's explained how even the Creator had to go destroy one of the Canaanite dwellings, Sodom and Gomorrah, where the Amorites hung out, and then that's gonna be about the time when our father Abraham coming to the coming from the Mesopotamia area, and then coming into the land of Canaan, and then how that they would call him a Hebrew. Now this the thing is that Prophet Abraham come from Chaldea, and Chaldea was a Hamitic African like created nation. You know what I'm saying? The Assyrians created Chaldea, and that's where Prophet Abraham come from. And then Prophet Abraham came to the to our area, the close to Egypt, Canaan, and that's what the area that Almighty Yah said that He would give Prophet Abraham. If we'll go to Isaiah chapter 23, and then we get down to verse 13. Behold, the land of the Chaldeans, this people was not till the Assyrians founded it. For them that dwelled in the wilderness, they set up the towers thereof, and they raised up the palace thereof, and he brought it to naught. So this is gonna be a Hamite created place, because as I showed that Usher, who is the father and founder of the Assyrians, come from the Hamitic branch. That's gonna be a son of Nimrod, who was a son of Cush, and that's gonna be the Hamites going to the Mesopotamia area long time ago. The Hamites went to the Mesopotamia area long time ago, which ain't nowhere from the African continent, being that the promised land, what they call Palestine, is on the African plateau, actually connected to Africa. So it ain't nothing to go from Africa to right over here in these areas, or even in these areas, and that's where they were. And then I got videos showing the Hittites underground and so forth living in them areas, but how that the Hamites would control all these areas, and then our father Shem was given this area, you know what I'm saying, when our father Noah handed out the land and so forth, and then how that the Hamites was over here, and then we, you know what I'm saying, kind of mingled with the Hamites, and then how the Japhets and so forth was up here in the cold regions. And then I also explained how Cain, who killed Abel, was underground in Turkey in them caves and them cities with them Nephilims, and then how that the Amorites will be, mixing with them, and then that would cause that Semite term. Semi means half, mix, half, and then that's where the term Semitic comes from, originally come from the Amorite tribes mixing with the Nephilims, and then the Amorite tribes are mixed with the Moabites and the Ammonites, and the Amorite tribes are mixed with a whole lot of people in Tanakh history, and then that created the Semitic people, because they are half of everything from them Amorites, who are mixed with the Nephilims, and those are going to be the giants, the people that had a lot of knowledge and technology in the Torah that we were supposed to destroy by order of Almighty Yah when we exodus Egypt, and how we were supposed to get rid of their culture. Well, these people that's in control now been ruling since then, because we never got rid of the Canaanite culture. We never destroyed the Amorites. So then that's how they are able to take a word and take one word and magnify it, being that they control what's called Western civilization. Western civilization, man, is gonna be all Europe and all Europe, and they tried to get Russia into the Western civilization fold, but Russia mostly functioned on an Eastern civilization. You know, they got a little more morals, and they just ain't just big on just robbing and stealing and killing and looting like the Western civilization. You know, come from the Amorites and the Amorite Babylonian scribes, which give its word meanings and so forth. And then it's like that word Semitic. Man, they so cold with that word because they got people thinking that the word Semitic is tied into the Israelites. You know, and then that's wrong because the Israelites, you know, are not Semitic, you know, and then how we was actually supposed to destroy the Semitic tribes, you know, all those tribes that, you know, was mixed in with the Canaanites. That'd be, you know, all the tribes that's outlined in Tanakh history where Almighty Yah told us to get rid of the the Canaanite culture and the Egyptian culture, and that was part of the part of the law that Almighty Yah gave us, was to get rid of the Canaanite culture and the Amorite culture. And because the Amorite Canaanite culture is what produced the wickedness on this earth. All right, well, those Amorites that we didn't destroy, how about that them folks took off, you know, and you know that how that after the Babylonian Wars, you know, I'm gonna have to go back in history and explain, you know, how did they come into our heritage, as well as Ashkenazi, and then this will shed light on the Semitic terms, you know. But let's look at some of this Semitic meaning so we can get an understanding that they're tying it into the Israelite history, and then I'm gonna go explain how they got the Israelite history, and then that'll explain how they've been using that term Semitic as a weapon and stuff, you know, because our heritage fell into the Semitic people hands, and those are gonna be the mixed peoples that's mixed with the Amorite tribes, and all the Amorite tribes are fall up under the title Semitic, and how that, you know, I show that Semitic is not from Shem, that Shem is not a Semite. All right, let's go look at some of these meanings of some of these words. All right, let's see what they say. Now this is from the Jewish. Now this is from the Jewish library. This is from the virtual Jewish library, that all the Jews and all the sects, you know what I'm saying, agree with this. And this is what, you know, I want to let Israelites know. You know, it's like they got the term Jew. Look, a Jew. A Jew come in all shapes, sizes, ethnicities, and nationality. There are black Jews. There are black Jews from Ethiopia. Look from Ethiopia. Chinese Jews from Shanghai, and Indian Jews. There are Jews from Morocco, Iran, Jews from South America, Oceania, and the practice and beliefs held by Jews range from those who openly identify as Orthodox or strictly observe ancient precepts to those that have nothing to do with the religion or culture. So he's saying is, you know, they want you to think that the Jews is a religion that come from the tribe of Judah. And I'm going to show that that's false, because the tribe of Judah broke the covenant and ran into Africa during the Babylonian Wars. And I explained how that little 1% that come back from Babylon, meant how that they was destroyed, and how that our heritage didn't get passed over to the people that was placed in our land, and how we more or less abandoned it to them. Okay, look, you see how they, you know, the word Jew, and then look, they ain't gonna give you no full meaning on the word Jew. You know what I'm saying? That page ain't found. That page ain't found. All right. Then check this out. We're going to go down some. Let me see. Origins of the word Jew. All right. The original name for the people who now call Jews was Hebrews. Now, I'm going to show that that's false. That the Jews are not the Hebrews. That the Jews are not descended from Prophet Abraham. But that the Jews are either Ashkenazi and the Sephardics. And I can show how the Sephardics was placed in Samaria and how that they are Amorites. And that how Prophet Abraham was never an Amorite. And that how they try to say that our name come from Eber, and so forth, that we didn't, Prophet Abraham come from the Mesopotamia area, and then how he believed, and then how he came, to the promised land. Now, I believe that the Hebrews, always, men existed, somewhat in the Mesopotamian area, grazing and so forth, and how, that we would go where the Hamites went, and that how we would be separate, but, we would, kick it with the Hamites. So, and as I showed that Prophet Abraham come from Chaldea. We can look this up in Tanakh history, how Prophet Abraham came from Chaldea, and then I showed how Chaldea was founded by the Assyrians. Now, if Chaldea is founded by the Assyrians, and then they are Hamites, you know what I'm saying? They are Hamites, So, all right, let's see what Prophet Abraham. All right. Let me see. All right. And this would be Genesis 11:28. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. You see, so Chaldea, Chaldea, and then as I showed that the Assyrians created Chaldea. You know what I'm saying? That they the founders. Look, behold the land of the Chaldeans. This land was not till the Assyrians founded it for them. That dwell in the wilderness, that set up the towers thereof, that raised up the palace thereof, and it was brought it to ruins. So the Assyrians, gave Chaldea its beginning. So Prophet Abraham was around, hanging in them parts, and then the Babylonians and the Chaldeans would be at war. I explain in videos how Ashkenazi, the Scythians, would get around from the Caucasus Mountain and then go to the Zagros and then get lodged in Babylon, and then it'd be the off and on war between Assyria and Babylon with the wars and stuff that Assyria had with the Babylonians, and then how that those Ashkenazis would help the Sephardics, in Babylon, and then I believe I can show that's where both groups got its origin from when they came and chased us out the land, like the Assyrians placed the Sephardics, the Sephardims in Samaria, and then we know that the Chaldeans was Scythians, because Scythia took Chaldea over. They destroyed Assyria, and then took Chaldea over, and then how did they would come from Babylon to the promised land and chase us off. So how both groups origin come from Babylon, and then how that Assyria would have trouble with them, and then they eventually destroyed Assyria. But Prophet Abraham got down, you know what I'm saying, around about them times when he left the Mesopotamia area, coming into the promised land from that Canaanite culture that was wicked and had the Nephilims mixed up in it. All right, so we see, all right, the Canaanite culture, you know what I'm saying, the Canaanite culture over Babylon, 2200 BC. Abraham leave Mesopotamia area, 2091 BC, and then as you see when our fathers and them was born and so forth. All right, so they would be Hebrews, and that the Hebrews would not be no Phoenicians and no Akkadians and all them folks, and how that we Prophet Abraham was a direct descendant of Prophet Shem, who could trace his lineage back to Prophet Noah, who could trace his lineage back to Prophet Adam, our father Adam, and so forth. And then how that the Shem line wasn't contaminated as the other lines like the Japhet and the Canaanite lines, tribes were, mixed with the fallen angelic beings. All right, so we see and got an understanding of Prophet Abraham and what he was. All right, the original name, of the people. Now this is they explaining how the Jews, got that title to push the anti-Semitic title over on folks, and how that they are tracing it to an Israelite heritage. All right, the original name for the people who now call Jews was Hebrews. The word Hebrew in here is first used in the Torah to describe Abraham. So we know the word is apparently derived from the name Eber, one of Abraham's ancestors. And another tradition teach that the word comes from the word Eber, which means from the other side, referring to the fact that Abraham come from the other side of the Euphrates, referring to the fact Abraham was separated from the other nations, and morally and spiritually. So we could probably go for that. But how I explain how the Babylonian scribes created all kind of meanings for the Israelite history after our heritage fell into their hand during the Babylonian wars and after, and how they just created all kind of history. That's like all those books that's outside the Tanakh history gonna be books in history that they created. All right, and another name used for the people is children of Israel or Israelites, which refer to the fact that the people are descendants of Jacob, who was also called Israel. The word Jew in Hebrew, Yahudi, is derived from the name Judah, which was the name of one of Jacob's 12 sons. Judah was the ancestor of one of the tribes of Israel, which was named after him. Likewise, the word Judaism literally means Judaism. That is the religion of Yehudim. Now, I'm going to tell you how this is false, and how that this is real false, and this is misleading. And if people don't understand Tanakh history and what took place, then you're going to be lost in these lies right here. And these lies been going on for a long time, because we real Israelites abandoned our heritage to the Babylonian scribes. And if the peoples up in Europe and China and all these peoples wasn't around during these times when the Israelites abandoned their heritage to the Babylonian scribes, then they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know. They wouldn't have a clue. And they would think that the people who are called Jews today are the Israelites, the Sephardi and Ashkenazi groups. And then being that the Chinese and the people from Russia and all other parts of Europe wasn't down here in the promised land when all this action was going on, then later on in life they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know. That's like us telling and showing that we the Israelites is something new to these folks. And this is startling them. That's like I have no problem showing them that we Israelites, and I don't get no back talk. I don't get no, you ain't no Israelite and you trying to steal the Jews' history. I don't get that when I show them the history, because I show them from the beginning of how the Jews come into the Israelite heritage and how we got messed up without our heritage. I show them that, so I don't have them problems. But you see how the rest of the world wouldn't know that that Judah didn't create no religion, and that all Judah practicing the covenant comes from the laws that prophet Moses gave the Israelites from the Creator. So the tribe of Judah did not have no separate secret laws that is called Judaism. Now we know that the tribe of Judah during our last days was kind of like the tribe that held on, whereas the 10 tribes was tricked into Egyptian religion after wicked Solomon passed away, and then how Solomon opened the door for the northern kingdoms to get on the Egyptian religion, and then how that they was on Egyptian religion the whole time, and that yes, the tribe of Judah was following the laws, but it was Hebrews, at different times followed the law, and that some of the people from the northern kingdom did follow the law at different times, because King Hezekiah straightened the kingdom up to where that the people came to the Passover dinner, and this is where the strangers that was placed in Samaria that would get in, that would eventually get our heritage after we ran off. And then I could show that King Josiah cleaned up the whole nation and everybody was on the covenant. But Judah kind of like held it down, and King David descendants. I explained that how we only had 800 years from the time that we exited Egypt on the promised land, and how that we was messed up the whole time, and how the Egyptians planted they people among us that kept us throwed off, and how we never really got a good start, and then how we was eventually driven out. And then when we was driven out, we abandoned our heritage to some serious people from Babylon. The people that was already in control of Babylon's history and meanings of words and so forth, and the administrative civilization with taxing and grants and contracts and everything that you can imagine. They had already perfected it. And then when we left to go off into Africa to do the Egyptian religion, how we gave them everything, and how they been had our heritage for 2,608 years, something like that, and then how that they been deceiving the whole earth the whole time. And then how that's coming to an end now, because we Israelites waking up and we tired of being mistreated and being dogged out, and how we finna come back into our heritage, and then how that they ain't gonna be able to do that to us no more, because we're gonna be back who the people we supposed to be. And then that's how I'm showing how this anti-Semitic stuff ain't finna work against us Israelites, and how that they finna have to trash that before long, when enough of us wake up and point out that the Jews today who are claiming the Israelite heritage are not the children of Israel. All right, look, the word Jew is derived from the name Judah. It go on down, and it says that it literally means Judaism. That is the religion of the Judaism. And we know that the religion that's practiced today all over the world, what they call Judaism, is actually in violation of the Torah history in the contract that Almighty Yah gave us. Because for one, that the covenant couldn't be did nowhere else but on the promised land. Nowhere else on the promised land. And then how that they got all these folks around the world that they done converted practicing Judaism, think that they doing a covenant that come from Almighty Yah in their lands, and how it's okay and so forth. Man, this madness is real evil. It's real evil. And how our heritage fell into some people's hands that can just make something false seem like reality and true. And that's why we Israelites got to come back into our heritage, and then us coming to our heritage. How about that it's going to put the three religions at stake? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam is at stake when we Israelites come into our heritage, for the reason that Judaism is the parent religion of Christianity and Islam. And how about Judaism come from the Babylonian scribes? We Israelites abandon our heritage too. And there's some cold mess going on, but we're going to straighten it up. Look, all right, the word Jew in Hebrew, Yehudi. Yehudi is derived from the name Judah, which was the name of one of Jacob's sons. All right, so I done read all that lie right there. Now look, originally the term Yehudi referred specifically to members of the tribe of Judah, as distinguished from other tribes of Israel. However, after the death of King Solomon, look, they always get a lot of wicked history in under King Solomon, because it was from King Solomon that we broke the covenant. It was from King Solomon fall and allowing the Egyptian religion to get into our land. It's the reason why we broke the covenant. So Solomon is kind of responsible because he the one that allowed all those religions, men, to come into the land and stuff, when he let all them women do their religions on the land and didn't follow Almighty Yah's law. And then I explained how the Ethiopians say that they got their heritage off Solomon. So a lot of wicked history and lies gonna come up off Solomon, and his name is gonna be associated with it somewhere. Look, all right. Originally, the term Yehuda referred referred specifically to the members of the tribe of Judah as distinguished from other tribes of Israel. However, after the death of King Solomon, the nation of Israel was split into two kingdoms, the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel. All right. After that time, the word Yehudi could probably be used to describe anyone from the kingdom of Judah. So anybody living in the kingdom of Judah, they gonna say during that time could just be called a Judite from living in the southern kingdom. And then this is how they tricking themselves, because the Israelites was driven from the northern kingdom into the southern kingdom during the Babylonian wars, and how that you could see the name of Israel mentioned throughout the book of Jeremiah and the book of Ezekiel, and how the Israelites were among the Babylonian captivity. Was among the Babylonian captivity. So, they tricking themselves. So, I show that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes, and that all the tribes ran into Africa during the Babylonian wars. So you see how they tricking themselves. Look, all right, Judah, which included the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, as well as scattered settlements from other tribes. I know that's right. The most obvious biblical example of this is, all right, so, all right. Now look, this is where the lie come in real good, and how they try to get a good lie in over the world. And this lie right here caused the people in the other lands to think that they are Israelites after the Jews went there and converted them, and then they done had a couple of descendants, a couple of offsprings for a few generations, and then how the Jews will come tell them that they from the 10 lost tribes, and then how that's been going on for a long time. Look, in approximately 722 BC, the kingdom of Israel was captured by Assyria, and the 10 tribes were exiled from the land, which only left the tribe of Judah kingdom to carry on Abraham's heritage. Look, which left only the tribe of in Judah kingdom to carry on Abraham's heritage. The people of Judah kingdom called themselves and were known to other nations as Yehudi, Jews, a name still used today. In common speech, the word Jew is used to refer to all the physical, spiritual descendants of biblical Israel, as well as the passions. Man, that's messed up. That's messed up, because they just say that the word Jew come from, Judah, and we know Abraham, Isaac can't never be no Jew, and that the prophet Abraham didn't even have the law that was given to prophet Moses, so he could never be practicing what they call Judaism. And the Judaism gonna be the interpretation of the Babylonian scribes of our heritage and our laws after we left, and how they put they spin on it, as Tanakh show. All right, so we know that that 10 lost tribe stuff is a lie, as I show in other videos, and I'm even showing here, so that word Jew is false, because the people who call themselves Jews are not the Israelites. Okay, let's show this, and then we're gonna look up. Let me show this word semi. The word semi means half. You know what I'm saying? The semi definition means half. Half. You know what I'm saying? Half of something, and then that's like the word. The word Semite. Look, members of any various ancient modern people originated in Western Asia. You know what I'm saying? So we know they gonna say over here in Western Asia. So we know that that's where the Semites come from. That prophet Abraham was over in these parts and so forth, and that how he is not a Semite. You know what I'm saying? Look, a member of any various ancient modern peoples originating in Southwest Asia, including the Akkadians, the Canaanites, the Phoenicians, the Hebrews, and the Arabs. See, the Hebrews ain't gonna be no Semites, because for the simple fact is that after prophet Abraham, and then Isaac was born, and then Jacob, the Israelite nation was born in, and that prophet Abraham didn't bring a whole bunch of people over from the Mesopotamia area to be recognized as Hebrew, as a Hebrew, and how he was the only one. And then from prophet Abraham, you get the Israelite nation, who was not, you know what I'm saying, in southwestern Asia, but how that we was born in northeast Africa, because the promised land is on the African plateau. So they've been telling lies about that right there. That's a lie. All right, so we know that, you know what I'm saying, that we ain't no Semites, and that we are not half and half. Look, a member of people descended from Shem, the eldest son, you know, and we know that Shem ain't give a birth to the Canaanites and the Phoenicians or the Arabs, and how the Arabs gonna be a combination of Ishmaelites, Edomites, and Amorites, and you know they gonna be Semitic, and they gonna be mixed, semi, half and half. You know, they gonna be semi, half and half. You know what I'm saying? Let's look up this again. All right, Semitic. Semitic, relating to or characterized by anti-Semitism, feeling or showing hostility towards discrimination against Jews as a cultural, relation, or ethnic group. You know what I'm saying? Look, it's criticism, anti-Semitism. All right, so we already know that the anti-Semitism don't apply to the Hebrew Israelites. You know what I'm saying? And they gonna say that the word anti-Semitism got its start, you know what I'm saying, in in 1900s, and then how that, you know, we know that all the institutions, colleges, universities, the first ones was set up by the Jews, the Amorites, you know what I'm saying, and how that they founded the colleges and its institutions in the Western culture, and gave its meanings coming from the Romanites language, and in the Germanic language, and that's Ashkenazi in the Sephardics, giving the English words its meanings, and how that they responsible for that, you know, and that how that, you know, that they got the meanings, you know what I'm saying, anti-Semitism, you know, in the from the Germany days, and how that they say that after Hitler done robbed them Jews, robbed the Sephardics, or the people that's associated with the Sephardics that had the yellow star on, you know, that how Hitler robbed them, and then how Hitler had 20 Ashkenazi generals, man in his army. Now let me type that up, because they'll tell you how Hitler had 20 generals. Hitler, let me see. Look, Hitler's Jewish generals. Look, Hitler's Jewish generals. Look, the Jews in Hitler's army. Man, they gonna tell you, man, that Hitler had a whole bunch of Jews in his army, but they was gonna be Ashkenazi, and the Ashkenazi was robbing the Sephardics. You know, I explained how the Sephardics and Ashkenazi been having practicing war, and it's the thing how that title anti-Semitism, you know, don't affect Ashkenazi when he step on the Sephardics, because he classified as a Jew too. You see how they slick, and Ashkenazi slick too. But look how the Jews in Hitler's army, man, Hitler had a whole bunch of Jewish man, a whole bunch of them, men in his army and stuff, and that's a known fact. You know what I'm saying, that Hitler had Jews in his army. So, you know, them telling lie, you know what I'm saying, about the Holocaust and all it's bad and this and that. Man, all it was a robbery going down. You know how Ashkenazi got control of everything since then. Look, the Sephardic ideal has always been understood in terms of political moderation and community unity. Rarely did the Sephardim lose their internal cohesion, that is, until the process of cultural erosion set in following the Ashkenazi lead. Sephardim abandoned their traditional culture and adapted to the fractious Ashkenazi model under the rubric of a single Jewish nation. The Sephardi, particular with its cultural genius and sophisticated social morals, has become a lost value. The Ashkenazi culture, with this deeply unsettled relationship to the larger world, has now become the Jewish standard. Now, Ashkenazi took everything from them during the Holocaust and how they been fooling folks with that. But the word semi, you know what I'm saying? The word semi goes to the word half, semi, half and half. And then I explained how that the Amorites, the Amorites mix men with a lot of tribes. You know what I'm saying? The Amorites, look, for Og, king of Bashan, remain of the giants. That's mixed, you know what I'm saying, with the Nephilims. And behold, his bedstead was of iron. Is it not in Ramah of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits, you see, but because they had got up in the, you know what I'm saying, the tribe of Ammon, you know what I'm saying? Genesis 4:9, that's going to be the giants got in, with them. And I got a whole bunch of scriptures showing how the Amorites got in with the Nephilims, the Anakims, and how that they was all mixed up, and them will be the tribes that we were supposed to destroy, and them will be the Semitic people. And I'm gonna show you how the Semitic people settled in our land during the Assyrian times. Now, as you see, the Jews are on record. They're on record with that 10 lost tribes stuff. You see, this is the Virtuous Jewish Library. Look, you see, this is the Virtuous Jewish Library. That's the Virtuous Jewish Library. This is spokesperson for all of them. And then you see how they got it down that it's a 10 lost tribes, and then how Judah was the only one remaining, and then how Judah comes from Jew comes from Yehuda comes from Jew comes from Yehuda, and how all them are Semitic and so forth. And man, check this out. So let's go to chapter 2 Kings chapter 17, and then let me bring you up to part, man, before I read this verse. Now, we was already messed up. This is in 722 BC. We've been robbing, stealing, kicking it with the Assyrians and with the Egyptians. Man, we robbing, we stealing. In Northern Kingdom is on Egyptian religion since Jeroboam come out of Egypt after Solomon's death and put the two Egyptian institution up, one in one in Dan, and the other one in Bethel. And then how that we would be on the Egyptian religion, the Northern Kingdom, man, for 300 years till King Josiah was born. All right, but just before King Josiah was born, and this was like doing his great granddaddy time. This would be King Hezekiah. This would be about 715 BC is what I'm gonna read. It's showing that all the tribes was there, but before then, 7 years before, these peoples, the Sephardims, the Amorites, the people from Sippar, was placed in Samaria. Now these are the Jews today. These are the people that promote that Semitic term, anti-Semitism. And if you against, them, and you against Judaism and thinking that Judaism come from the tribe of Judah, and that how the anti-Semitism thing is tied into them. And these are Babylonian scribes from Suppar. Man, from right here, Sipper, and that how Sipper is responsible for the whole Western civilization economic system that we going through today, and how they contract selling and everything, and how the whole administrative structure work, and what's called civilization come from these folks right here, and that's Sipper, and that means Sephardim. And Sephardim is the Sephardi, Sephardi, and the Sephardim. They're Canaanites. And Jew, original word means Jebusites, and they're all Amorites. And those are the people that we didn't destroy their culture before we got chased out the land by Ashkenazi under the name Chaldean. All right. So these people was placed in our land in 722 BC because we was on Egyptian religion. We slipping. Look, all right, so this 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cuddar, and from Abel, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities therein. Now this is where the Judaism gonna come from them, because they gonna mix the covenant laws that we had with their ancient Babylonian tradition, which would produce Judaism. All right. All right. So now they done, you know what I'm saying? They done been placed in the land. Look, and then as you read, so they feared the Elohim and made unto themselves of the lowest of them priests of the high places, which sacrifice for them in the houses of the high places. They feared the Elohim and served their own gods, after the manner of the nations whom they carried away unto this day. They do after their former manner. They fear not the Elohim, neither do they after their statutes of their ordinance. See, so that's not fearing Almighty Yah, is creating this Judaism and then spreading it all over the world, and telling these folks that they doing the covenant up off the promised land. You know, that's not fearing Almighty Yah. That's not fearing Almighty Yah, because you ain't supposed to do the covenant. The real Israelites supposed to only do the covenant in one place, and that would draw all the other peoples from around the earth to us in that one place where Almighty Yah put his name. And he didn't say go create and mix his laws with the Babylonian traditions and then pass it around the world and call it Judaism. That ain't no fear of Almighty Yah. They ain't got no fear. All right, so we see how, you know, that they would have our heritage and mix it, and how the Sephardim was placed in Samaria, and how Sephardim right now translate into Sephardi if you type that into your computer, and they gonna change that one day. All right, so you see them folks stayed in our land. So these nations feared the Elohim and served their graven images, both their children and their children's children, as they do in their fathers unto this day. So we see how the Sephardims was placed in our land. Now we kicking it. This is in 722 BC. Now this is when they say that the Assyrians supposed to have took all the tribes away. Now we know that Hezekiah was around during the Assyrian times. And if you go to Second Chronicles, man, it'll be Second Chronicles 30. Second Chronicles chapter 30. Second Chronicles chapter 30, you're going to see the King Hezekiah. This is in 715 BC. So this is killing that 10 lost tribe, a lie that the Semitic term antisemitism is based upon. You see what I'm saying? See, anti-Semitism is based upon that the tribe of Judah, that the Jews are the tribe of Judah in Judaism, and then if you against that, then you're an anti-Semite. And they are Semitic because they are some mixed people, but they are not the children Israel, who they placed the Semitic title men up under, you know, and try to make the children Israel be the foundation for it. But we ain't the foundation for it. All right, look. This is in 715 BC. This is King Hezekiah. This is Second Chronicles 30, and he's showing that all the tribes here. So this is this spelling that 10 lost tribe mess that the Jews are on record for promoting to establish the anti-Semitic laws that they being in prison folks with. That's why I say us Israelites, it ain't gonna work on us. Look, and Hezekiah sent to all Israel in Judah. Look, and Hezekiah sent to all Israel in Judah. So that's two separate entities right there. And wrote letters to Ephraim and Manasseh that they should come to the house of the Elohim at Jerusalem to keep the Passover unto the Elohim of the Yah of Israel. Now Ephraim is the leader of the whole northern kingdom, hands down. That can't nothing get done without the tribe of Ephraim being involved, and how basically the tribe of Ephraim got us destroyed because they kept a connection to the Assyrians and the Egyptians. Let me show this real quick. And uh, uh this is before the 10 lost tribe myth come about. How did the tribe of Ephraim did this gonna be in 753 BC, and how Ephraim is still around, and how he took trade to Assyria, took oil from Assyria into Egypt. And this is, let me see, when Prophet Hosea, look, Prophet Hosea is 753 BC. So it's be like about almost 31 years later, something like that. 31 years later. All right, look, you see, 752 BC. And then look, all right, and then this whole book is about Ephraim kicking it with the Assyrians and so forth. But when you get to 12, Ephraim feedeth on wind and followeth after the east wind. He daily increaseth the lies and desolation. And they do make a covenant with the Assyrians, and oil is carried into Egypt. Look, all is carried into Egypt. All is carried into Egypt by the tribe of Ephraim. 31 years later, and this is after the so-called Assyrian captivity. Here go King Hezekiah writing a letter to him, asking them to come to the Passover dinner. So the Assyrians did not take 10 tribes away. Now, they might have took some folks, the fighters that was maybe spread out throughout them tribes, and I'm going to show how that the Assyrians needed our fighters, and that the whole Assyrian captivity and how dealings with the Assyrians is false. It is incorrect, and how history have to be totally rewritten, and how that the whole Western civilization history is corrupt and no good. And that's how they able to create them powerful words like Semitism, anti-Semitic, to imprison folks with, and so forth. And it's wrong. Look, and Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah, and wrote letters also to Ephraim and Manasseh that they should come to the house of the Elohim to Jerusalem to keep the Passover unto the Elohim Yah. For the king had taken counsel and his princes and all the congregation to all the congregation in Jerusalem to keep the Passover in the second month, for they could not keep it at that time, because the priests had not sanctified themselves sufficiently, neither had the people gathered themselves together to Jerusalem. And the thing pleased the king and all the congregation. So the king established a decree and proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan. Now let's look and see where Beersheba to Dan is. Where Beersheba to Dan is, because this is where he sent the letter, from Beersheba to Dan. And it don't make no sense for King Hezekiah wouldn't be stupid and send a letter to some places where wasn't no Hebrews at, wasn't no Israelites at. All right, so we see Beersheba right there. So that's Simon down there. So man, he sent the letter all the way up here, all the way up here, all the way to Dan. Told them to come to the Passover dinner. Told them to come to the Passover dinner. All right. So he told them to come to the Passover dinner. All right. And this is in 715 BC. This is 7 years after the so-called Assyrian captivity. All right. So they established a decree and make proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan, that they should come to keep the Passover unto the Elohim Yah of Israel at Jerusalem, for they had not done it of a long time in such sort as it was written. So the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel. Look, throughout all Israel and Judah. And according to the commandment of the king, saying, Ye children of Israel, turn again unto the Elohim Yah of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remain of you that are escaped out of the hands of the kings. Look, you see a S on there, kings of Assyria. So them Israelites escaped. Who all escaped? You know what I'm saying? Man, he just mentioned Ephraim and Manasseh, and then he said the children Israel, and then I just showed you how he sent the letter from one end to the other. So we know all these peoples were still here after the Syrian captivity. So them Jews telling that lie about this 10 lost tribe that they got right here. It's bad. It's bad. And this is where that anti-Semitism stuff is said on. See, approximately 722, the kingdom of Israel was carried away by the Assyrians. And then that would let these folks, the black Jews in Ethiopia, Chinese, and India, when the Sephardists, who we abandoned our heritage to, went all to them lands doing trade, converting them folks. And then that's making them think that they from the Assyrian times and stuff. Man, that junk wicked. And then we see how did we escape and how we was at home. Now I'm going to show you that we all went into Africa and abandoned our heritage to those Sephardims that was placed in Samaria 7 years before King Hezekiah sent the letter to everybody, and how that they came to the Passover dinner too. So you know, if they come to the Passover dinner and doing the Passover dinner with us, that they in our heritage. They enter our heritage in Jerusalem, and they already Amorites. So that when we run out and go into Africa and leave everything to them, to the Semitic peoples, then that's where that anti-Semitism term come from. But how that they are not the children of Israel. All right. So as you read down, so we see we escaped the Assyrians, and they've been lying on that. And the Tanakh show you this clear. There's no misunderstanding about this. You can't call the Bible a lie. You can't call this a lie right here. And it said that we escaped the Assyrians. We escaped the Assyrians, and then we know that Assyria took King Hezekiah's son Manasseh to Babylon, as I explained how the Assyrians took the fighters, and we had to help them get Babylon back from the Ashkenazi Chaldean stock that had took it over, and then how that they would eventually destroy Assyria and then chase us into Africa, and then how our heritage fell into their hands. Look, all right. So as you read down, so the post passed from city to city throughout the country of Ephraim, Manasseh, even unto Zebulun, but they laughed them to scorn and mocked them. Remember, they've been on Egyptian religion since Jeroboam days, since 931 BC, and it wouldn't get cleaned up to King Josiah's great grandson. Come on, let's look at this real quick. Let's go to First Kings. Man, that'll be First Kings 12, and then that'll be Jeroboam coming out of Egypt with the two institutions. Look, whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, it be too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold, thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And then I showed that the Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim, Jeroboam was from, that he had a connection to the Egyptians, and that the tribe of Ephraim, mama was an Egyptian, and that how the door was wide open for Jeroboam to go into Egypt after Solomon chased him there, and how that they would be helping the Egyptians, because when Jeroboam come out and put the 2 Egyptian institutions on us, that caused us to fail and also help the Egyptians. See, if we would have followed that law that Almighty Yah gave us, we would have killed the whole Egypt. The whole Egyptian and Canaanite culture should have been destroyed, and we wouldn't have the troubles in the Western civilization that the world is suffering from. The prostitutes, the homosexuality, the robbing, the killing, the stealing, the mistrust. Oh man, it just goes on, and how Almighty Yah outline all those sins in the Tanakh. All right, but we see that, Hezekiah had everybody at home. Look, nevertheless, the verse of Asher, Manasseh, and Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? They humbled themselves. And also in Judah, the hand of Yah was given. All right, so then, the people come to the Passover dinner. And then as you get to the other side, the other page, and then read on down. For a multitude of the people, many of Ephraim, Manasseh, Issachar, and Zebulun had not cleansed themselves, yet they did eat the Passover, otherwise it was written. So they come to the Passover dinner, and then as you're reading, remember them people that was placed in 722 BC. The people that was placed in 722 BC is going to come to the Passover dinner. Let's refresh in this. Go to 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 24. And this is in 722 BC. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cutter and from Ava and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt therein. So we know that the Amorite Sepharvaim is in Samaria in 722 BC, and then how King Hezekiah 7 years later in 715 BC invited everybody to the Passover dinner, and how that the strangers would come too. All right, and all the congregation are this is 2 Chronicles 30 verse 25, and all the congregation of Judah and the priests and the Levites and all the congregation that come out of Israel and the strangers that come out of Israel, and they rejoice in Judah. Them see and dwelt in Judah and rejoice. So now those Sephardians is going to Jerusalem. They get to look around and see where the book's at and see where everything at. And then they in Jerusalem doing a Passover dinner with us. So they gonna be seen as Judites now because they in Judah. They Amorites already, so now they free to go back and forth. To where when we ran out, that's where our books was. They gonna immediately go there and seize them, and then they gonna be seen as Israelites because, like I say, all these folks in Europe and Russia and China and all them tribes in ancient days, they didn't know what was going on here in the Promised Land. They don't even have a clue. It's not even written in their history. In Assyrian Chronicles is written about the Babylonian wars, but nowhere else in history is it written in the Tanakh. So the rest of the peoples wouldn't know that we was abandoning our heritage to those people that was placed in our land, and how that they are Semitic being mixed. You see what I'm saying? With all the other tribes, and how the Amorites history is plainly shown in the Tanakh, how the Amorites mix. All right, so we see that they will come to the Passover dinner. All right. Now, when we go to King Hezekiah, this would be second King Hezekiah great grandson would be King Josiah, and how all the tribes was homed in, and all the tribes wasn't mentioned during King Hezekiah times. His great granddaddy gonna be mentioned during King Josiah time. And as you read down, you know what I'm saying, you get to verse 6. So he did in the cities of Manasseh, Ephraim, Simon, even unto Naphtali, with their mattucks round about. So King Josiah cleaned up the kingdom just like it was prophesied during Jeroboam time, how he was told that a descendant from King David would come clean the whole Israel up. And then how King Josiah did that 300 years later, and then how the Egyptians killed him and put us on Egyptian religion, and then how we would run into Africa, all the tribes, besides the little fruit that was caught, and then how that the people, them people that was placed in our land would be seen as Israelites from then on out. Look. This is Jeroboam being told King Josiah would clean the kingdom up, and this is 300 years before King Josiah was born. This is in 931 BC. And behold, there came a man of Yah out of Judah by the word of the Elohim unto Bethel, and Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense, and he cried unto the altar, and he cried against the altar in the word of the Elohim, and said, O altar, altar, this saith the Elohim, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon thee shall he offer the priests of the high places that burn incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burnt upon thee. All right, this is King Josiah doing it right here in 2 Chronicles 34. This would be about 640 BC. Right. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 130 years, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Elohim, and walked in the ways of David his father, and declined neither to the right hand nor the left. For in the 8th year of his reign, while he was yet young, he began to seek after the Yah of David his father, and in the 12th year he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places and the groves and the carved images and the molten images, and they break down the altars of Balaam in his presence. You see, and as you read, and so did he in the cities of Manasseh, Ephraim, Simon, even unto Naphtali. And let's look and see this here, because he cleaned up the whole kingdom right here of the Egyptian worship. All right, from Naphtali. All right, let me see, from Simon. All right, so we went all the way up to Naphtali up here. All right, from Simon. Look, you see Simon all the way meant to Naphtali right there. That's what King Josiah cleaned up. All right, you know what I'm saying? He cleaned that up. All right, so then we will be free of Egyptian religion, and all the other folks in them Babylonian scribes gonna lay it down and be real still. And then the Egyptians killed King Josiah, and then we will go to the Egyptian religion, and then we will be chased out the promised land. All the tribes, all the tribes. Man, if you go to Second Chronicles chapter 25. Second Chronicles chapter 25. So that anti-Semitism stuff can't work on us because the Jews are not the Israelites. So therefore, the anti-Semitism don't work when it's applied to an Israelite, and the Israelite can't be an anti-Semitism because the Semitic peoples are not from Shem, and the Sephardics is not from Israel, and the Ashkenazi is not from Israel or the tribes of Israel. All right. So this all the tribes running into Africa during the Babylonian wars. That'll be the next event after the Assyrian troubles. And look, let me show how the Assyrians only took the 3 tribes, and then that'll let you know that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes, and then how these 3 tribes could have been stationed throughout the other tribes and stuff, you know, and how the Assyrians wanted them. Look, and if you go to First Chronicles. And then you get down to verse 18. The sons of Reuben, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, valiant men able to bear buckler and sword and to shoot with bows, skillful in war, were 440,703 that went out to the war. All right, and then when you get over here to verse 26, and the Yah of Israel stirred up the spirit of Paul, king of Assyria, the spirit of Tacloplazer, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites in the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them unto Hala and Harbor and Horror, and the river goes on. So, you know, those Israelites with the king of Assyria need, because like I say, that the king of Assyria was having trouble with Ashkenazi. You know what I'm saying? Coming up out of the Caucasus Mountain, and then how they had took Babylon over. All right, now let's see this Ashkenazi right here. These are the Jewish groups, and them the folks that got our heritage today, that's claiming to be Israelites, and they created the anti-Semitism in the tribe of Japhet. The Ashkenazi, the Scythians, are not Semitic, so you know that title couldn't even apply to them because they ain't Semitic, even though some of them are mixed in with the Sephardics, and that's what the Sephardic name come from, and how the Sephardim are going to be the ones mixed with the African and Arab tribes and so forth. Mostly these people right here, they will fall up under the Semitic title. Man, if you see the Jews of Western Africa, Megahurbi descent, specifically the Jewish communities in Nigeria, the Igbos, the Megahurbi West African Jewish communities also claim descent from Yemenite, Moroccan, and East African Jewish communities. And guess what? They calling them people in today. How the Sudan, Ethiopia been on terms with them, the Morocco, and the Arab Emirates, all the places where the Sephardim got relations, and they kind of like mixed in with those folks, whether they claim in the Jewish history or not, but that they are tribally related and how that the Sephardims are the Sephardi's that mix with the Hamites and so forth in the Sudan and Ethiopia and so forth. And you can know when the folks mix because they don't have that nappy hair and stuff, and their hair and straightened out and stuff. And that's showed that them Amorites got into them Hamites, and it's that Nephilim strain, and how that they took, you know what I'm saying, Morocco over a long time ago, the Sephardi's, and when they took Spain over, and that always been like a little colony of theirs, and how that them Jews are calling them in today, normalizing relations with them, whether they up under Christianity or Islam. It don't matter, because Judaism is the parent religion for Christianity and Islam. And then how the them religions finna fumble and crumble when we Israelites come into our heritage, showing that those Jews are not the real Israelites, showing that those Jews are not the real Israelites, and that the religions that they sponsored and created is invalid, is no good. It's no good. All right, now let's go and show how we Israelites ran into Africa to lead them our heritage to practice this Judaism that they done created. If you go to Second Kings, this will show all the Israelites going into Africa. This is during the Babylonian Wars. Everything go to the Babylonian Wars with us. All right, and all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies arose and came to Egypt, for they was afraid of the Chaldees. Now, Chaldees gonna be Ashkenazi and took Chaldea over, and how we would get on into Egypt, you know, trying to get away from them folks, because we was doing Egyptian religion, and the Egyptians killed King Josiah, and then when they killed King Josiah, they put us on the Egyptian religion. You know what I'm saying? We was already messed up with Egyptian religion and Egyptian ideology from the beginning. And that how we only had a brief period of not doing it was when King Josiah cleaned it up. And then how we was off of it for 31 years. And then that's why come Prophet Ezekiel say this. Go to Ezekiel, man, it's going to be Ezekiel 23. Ezekiel 23. And look, the word of the Elohim came up unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt, and they committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed. That's where they bruised the tents of their virginity. In the name of them were Ahala the elder, and Abala her sister, and they were mine, and they had bare sons and daughters. And this their name Samaria is Ahala, and Jerusalem it is Awala. All right, so you know, we was messed up with Egyptian stuff from the longest. And then we would eventually get chased off the land in the book of Jeremiah. And then that'd be chapter 44 when we said we was going into Egypt to do the Egyptian religion. And it's like I explained, you know, in the previous video, how that our brothers and sisters that returned back to the promised land, and how that's not prophetic, and how that, you know, we're gonna have to come with some correct history, meant to establish who we are, and how we can't be using the Jewish myths and the Jewish history that they created to try to explain our heritage, because it ain't gonna work. Look, that's why Almighty Yah said this too. You know, if you go to Jeremiah 31, and that's how them peoples ain't gonna be able to pop game. And that's like how they got the covenant practicing it all over the world with this so-called Judaism. How Almighty Yah said he gonna give us a law that's gonna be in us, and it ain't gonna be based upon that old covenant that we abandoned to the Jews for African religion. So these folks that's practicing our heritage, that's doing this Judaism, man, that ain't what Almighty Yah gonna have the real Israelites doing, and how y'all doing something that the Jews created, the people that we abandon our heritage to. Behold, this is Jeremiah 31. Behold, the days come, saith the Elohim, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them. Look, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them out of the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. That's going to be that covenant that was given to prophet Moses, you know what I'm saying, to give to us, that we abandon to the Jews that they are doing. See, that's where that anti-Semitism stuff gonna come from, because we abandon our heritage to them, and then they got the people thinking that they Israelites, and then they creating a word to protect them. One word can get you locked up: anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic. And that's false, because the people who are claiming to be Israelites are not the Israelites. All right, so we know that Almighty Yah said He gonna give us a new law. Behold, the days come, saith the Elohim, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith the Elohim. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Elohim. I will put my law in their inward parts, and I will write it in their hearts, and I will be their Yah, and they shall be my people, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, saying, and every man his brother, saying, know the Elohim, for they shall all know me, from the least of them, from the greatest of them. From the least of them unto the greatest of them, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sins no more. So that old covenant that we once did, that we broken and ran into Africa to do the Egyptian religion that caused our enslavement, and then now that we got enslaved and waking up to what happened to us, that where that old covenant is no good no more, because it was broken. It was broken during the Babylonian wars. And how did them folks practicing Judaism is practicing stuff that the Babylonian scribes and them created. And when you go to Jeremiah chapter 44, this is what the real Israelites said. This is Jeremiah 44, verse 15. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto other gods, and all the women and that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelled in Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, as for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of food, and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and famine. Now, we was in Africa saying that. We was in Africa saying that. You know, we was in Africa saying that. And we had ran up off the land. Now, remember, those people was placed in our land in 722 BC. And how that they had people there already, because they're Amorites. And then being Amorites in the promised land, and then when we real Israelites run off, then our heritage fell to the Amorites, who would be mixed up Semite with all the other tribes. All the other tribes that we Israelites were supposed to destroy in the Tanakh is full of their history. I got through videos explaining this. And then how that they would mix up with them, and they would be Semitic, and then they'll take our heritage and mix it with the Babylonian laws and create Judaism. And then that Judaism, because we Israelites ran into the Africa from the tribe of Judah, and then how that they will say that they are the Judites, and that how that they done took our heritage and then created Judaism, and then passed it to all them folks, men around the world, on trade routes. These the trade routes right here. These the Randonite trade routes, and this where they done took Judaism to all these lands. All these lands right here. They done took them to all them lands, and then they created Judaism. And then they got all them folks thinking that they the children of Israel. All right, Hebrews, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. I done showed that how we are not the Semitic people. I done showed that how that anti-Semitism cannot apply to us Israelites. All right, shalom, Hebrews, is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood.